Welcome back to Gibbo MMA. We are reviewing UFC 325. Alex Volkanovski and still defeats Diego Lopes. Wipes the floor with him on the judges' scorecards. And another title defense added to his legacy. That now makes it 6 title defenses. And what an event. What a whole... He did Sydney proud. Just a great success it was, because this last time he fought in Australia was in Perth against Islam, and he was saying he really wanted that moment to lift the belt in front of Australia. He didn't get it against Islam. He went on a tough 2-fight losing streak. Then he got the belt back, and then he gets this fight in Sydney and finally gets his moment in his home city, in his home country of Australia, and defends the belt. First time he got to defend the belt in Australia. And he does it pretty easily. He gets 49-46 across 2 judges' scorecards and 50-45 on the third one. I had it, 49-46. It was rounds 2 and 3 were swing rounds. The judges gave Lopes, one of them gave him round 2 to Lopes, and the other one gave round 3 to Lopes. And yeah, we didn't really learn a lot in this fight. It was very much a numbers thing. Lopes got this fight, and again, he tried his heart out, but the first fight pretty much went the exact same as the first fight, except this time just not as much damage. And you could see Volk just got even better, was way more defensively minded, took way less damage. He got a cut. I believe he always kind of gets cut on that under the eye there now. Just a lot of scar tissue when the glove just kind of grips it. And yeah, another win to his record. And I'm just super relieved right now, the morning after this event, because just from the Islam and Topuria fight, seeing Volk get knocked out like that, and then in the Lopes fight last year, seeing him get dropped, that was where I was just super worried in this fight, was seeing Volk getting knocked out. And Lopes did catch him coming in either in the second or third round with like a sneaky uppercut or something, and Volk, dropped to his knees and just kind of caught him. Didn't rock him too hard, but again, Volk just too clean on the feet. And I'm just always amazed how a guy who's 5'6" can outstrike, outpoint fight, outland people who are much taller than him and much longer than him, like Max Holloway, Diego Lopes twice now. And yeah, it's just amazing the fight IQ and the technical striking Volkanovski has. Doesn't get enough credit in my opinion. So I continually bring it up, just how good of a striker he is for someone who's short and stocky. He's just so smart. Like, he's either all the way out at kicking range and just uses that front kick to the leg to get his kicking range, and then he blitzes all the way in, gets all up and tight underneath their chin, and they're kind of just like, fuck, what's going on here? And then he's all the way back out exiting. And yeah, he's never in that mid-range where they can hit him and he can't hit them. And he really dictates that range super well. And a big thing coming into this fight for Diego Lopes was, is he going to be able to cut the octagon? Is he going to be able to stop Volkanovski circling away back to the center? Is he going to be able to back up Volkanovski in the danger zone behind that black octagon line and get his back against the cage? And he didn't do that. It was kind of, if you're a Lopes fan, you really want to get some questions and answers around that, what the game plan and what the coaches were doing, not being able to cut Volkanovski down. Is it just Volkanovski just that good at escaping and circling around? But you saw with Topuria, he was able to cut Volkanovski off and then capitalize on it. And you'd think Lopes already gone 25 minutes with him. and getting a rematch would be able to work on that. And Volkanovski was circling to his left. So when I believe it was, he was, Volk was circling to the left into Lopes when Lopes was in orthodox, so into his right hand, danger right hand, because the previous fight Volk said he was circling to the right and was getting caught there. So he just did it the other way and didn't worry about the power hand being there. And yeah, just again, did Lopes deserve this fight? As far as ranking wise, I don't think so. But as far as a big name, and it's good Volkanovski got to not get an easy win, but he got the win in his home country. And that's really what matters. And the rest of this card was also great. Co-main BSD, TKO's Dan Hooker, Roofy for Zeev. That was a good fight until it ended. Roofy, surprisingly, I didn't see that coming, knocking out Rafael Zeev in the second round. Taliesin Teixeira, Tai Tuivasa, just a fun heavyweight scrap. Teixeira wins via decision. And Quillen Southkill kind of does what we all thought. First round submission over Jamie Mullarkey, who stepped in for Rong Zhu, the Chinese guy who had to pull out. We all thought Quillen was going to knock Jamie out, but people forget Southkill's greatest strength is that grappling. And yeah, once he got him down, easy rear naked choke. But just to touch more on this main event, the walkout was insane, like through the TV. I mean, we're at the tavern, I was watching it. Everyone was popping off. I've just been waterboarding myself with Volkanovski walkout content here in the crowd. Peak male moment right there, just walking out to land down under. If you're an Aussie, that is just peak. Everyone singing that as you're walking out. And yeah, in this fight, Volkanovski did engage in the wrestling a little bit. He did say Lopes, just kind of too strong to try and get him down. But again, he's just mixing it up, giving Lopes different things to worry about. There was a moment in the fourth or fifth round, Lopes looked like he was, was searching for an armbar there. He almost had it in. Volk in the post-fight presser said, he was like, I'm good. And then all of a sudden was like, oh, I've got to be careful here. But he gets out of that. And what's interesting with, I'm a Diego Lopes fan as well. And it's not, if you're saying, hey, do you want to fight Volk in Sydney? You're accepting it. And this might give you, a different perspective and alter your opinion maybe about why he got this title fight over Movsar Evloev. And because Lopes fought Evloev back in 2023 on short notice, and he lost by decision, competitive fight. So that was May of 2023, and he lost to Evloev. Since then, Lopes has fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8 times he's fought since that loss to Movsar. And since that loss, he was on a 5-fight win streak. And then he lost to Volk, beat Silva, now lost to Volk. Let's look what Movsar's done since beating Lopes. He beat Lopes in May 2023. His fight with Bryce Mitchell got cancelled. Oh, that was the fight. So he was supposed to fight Bryce. Lopes steps in. And then he doesn't fight for almost a whole year against Arnold Allen in 2024 January, which I believe he lost. He got away with Goddard saving him from an illegal knee, which was actually a legal knee. So he gets a lucky decision over Arnold Allen in Jan 2024, fights Aljo in December 2024. So, quite pretty active in 2024. Beats Aljo by decision again, controversial decision win over 3 rounds. And then he hasn't fought since. So he's fought twice since beating Diego Lopes. So quick maths, Lopez has fought 4 times as much since then. So availability is your best ability. And if you're active in fighting and winning and doing UFC favors like Lopez has, they're going to give you these title shots. Because Lopez has now had 2 title shots since losing to Movzar. And that's where I do, I'm not full hating on Lopez getting this fight and what the UFC's done. Because the guy's been fighting, getting in the crowd's face. He's, giving the UFC an opportunity to promote him a lot. He's been fighting heaps. He's stepping in, against that fight against Dan Ige at UFC 303. Brian Ortega literally 4 hours before had to pull out. Dan Ige steps in. Lopez still takes the fight at another weight. So when you're doing all these things for the company, they're gonna, give you a couple title shots, and that's where have a think about that when you say, oh, Lopez didn't deserve it. I still think Lerone, coming off that knockout. But now that Lopez, we're here now, he's lost. Now it's what's next for Volk. And it's got to be either Movzar or Lerone. I think, Movzar, just because of the inactivity, I think maybe injuries, I think maybe Lerone's the next guy. He's the guy that's fought most recent. I think he's more over with the fans with that spinning elbow knockout. Not many people know who Movzar is just because of how inactive he is. He's a great grappler and all, but those decision wins, controversial again. UFC just, they don't want to promote an inactive controversial decisionator. But as far as for Volk's legacy, I would like to see him go up against a grappler like that and see how he would go from a hardcore fan perspective. But for the casuals, they're probably wanting to see maybe more of a Gene Silver skip the line or a Lerone. But let me know your thoughts about that. And just on Volkanovski, there's big debates. Is he the featherweight GOAT? Does he surpass Jose Aldo? Obviously Aussie biasy. I got to say he's a featherweight GOAT. But I'll just, have to just see what Jose Aldo's done in his career to maybe give you another perspective, because they now have tied 8 title fight wins in this division. They're tied on that now. But Jose Aldo, he's defended the belt 7 times, Volkanovski 6. One of those defenses was a unification over Mark Hominick, because Aldo was a WEC champ and then UFC bought WEC. So his first title fight in the UFC counted as a title defense. So essentially his WEC belt just became the UFC belt, and then his first fight was a title defense. Make what you will of that. You could, but this, and that was back in 2011. So prime Jose Aldo, it was, I was in grade 6 when he first defended his belt. So again, people forget, and us younger fans, we have to go back and watch and do a bit of history lesson. But prime Jose Aldo, Mike Brown, who coaches Dustin Poirier, beat him for the belt, WEC, then beats Uriah Faber, then Manny, and then becomes UFC belt, beats Mark, then Kenny Florian, then Chad Mendes, Frankie Edgar, Korean Zombie, Ricardo Lemos, Chad Mendes again. So 7 consecutive title defenses at featherweight, and then loses to Conor McGregor, because he was a pound-for-pound fighter in the world when he fought Conor McGregor. And then he beats Frankie Edgar. I believe it was for an interim belt, and then they upgraded it to undisputed when Max Holloway beat him. But, prime Jose Aldo, I think he was, back then, featherweights were really bantamweights. Aldo, as he ended his career as a bantamweight, he was a pretty small featherweight. And when you saw him against, you know, a weight bullying Conor McGregor at featherweight, like you could definitely see, like, damn, like, because back in the day, like they didn't cut as crazy, they weren't dialed in as much. But Jose Aldo finishing his career at bantamweight, so he did pretty well as a pretty undersized featherweight. But I got to say, Volkanovski, man, just the run he's had and the era he's done it in, I got to say he's my greatest featherweight of all time. And again, like a LeBron Jordan thing, you know, different eras. So I think, you know, early UFC era, I think, you know, Aldo is the featherweight GOAT for that era, and Volkanovski is the featherweight GOAT for this new era. Because things were just different back then. They didn't have all the technology, training, nutrition, weight cut all dialed in, all the information like they do now. So for his time, Aldo definitely featherweight GOAT. But the new era, obviously Volkanovski. And what a comeback resurgence for Volk's career. He's 37, you know, again, wins a title fight. You know, it's very hard to win it over the age of 35 if you're welterweight and under. Because, yeah, that back-to-back Islam Topuria knockout losses, people were saying, man, I think he's got to retire. And he goes and now he's on a 2-fight win streak at 37 years old, holding the featherweight belt in his 11th straight title fight. Like, what an insane career. And yeah, let me know your thoughts about Volk Aldo GOAT discussion. But let's move on to the co-main event. We had BSD defeat Dan Hooker, mounted him, and then just TKO'd him, just hit him with a flurry of punches. And I had BSD by submission, and there was a moment there where he was really going for that arm triangle, like Ahmed Sarukian did to him just last year, or the Kimura. He almost got the Kimura in, like Islam did to him. And yeah, not surprised how this went. And you know, there was a moment there when BSD went a bit vintage, just head down, just started brawling. And that's when Dan Hooker did have success and landed on him. But BSD just kind of bull rushed him, got him down, and then eventually TKO'd him. Yeah, what's next for BSD? If we look at the rankings, you got guys like Paddy Pimblett. But I think they should do Hooker Pimblett. Like, that'd be a great fight just because of obviously the shit talk that's going on. Or, you know, BSD Armon Sarukian. But we'll see. We're not going to matchmake too much. But I'm loving this resurgence of BSD. Such an entertaining fighter. And then this fight here, Rufi Fiziev. I was super torn on who to pick. I was like 50-50, but then I just leaned to Rafael Fiziev in this fight. But then he gets knocked out in the second round. He was looking good in the first round, but he just gets hit. Like, he wears damage so hard. Like, as soon as he gets a couple jabs, his eyelids underneath here just flare up and go red. And yeah, he gets surprisingly hit pretty easy. But he was, you know, spamming the leg kicks, looking great. Rufi, very patient, composed. And then in the second round, just landed that long, straight right. Fiziev just, you know, got rocked backwards. Survived a little bit, but Rufi stayed composed, kept landing shots. And eventually the ref had to step in. So, huge relief for Rufi, or Hoofy, just coming off that loss to BSD. And yeah, he'd be super relieved, back in the win column, and, you know, training in the Volk camp, you know, must have done him pretty good. Rafael couldn't get him down. He tried to clinch a little bit with him. Would have liked to see him try more. But yeah, nothing, too much else. You know, Fiziev just been a bit injuries inactive, and then coming up against another tough striker. Just not his night. Now, Taliesin Teixeira versus Tai Tuivasa. this was my fight of the night just because how, back and forth it was, pretty funny moments. It was actually the main event that got fight of the night. Rufy got the performance bonus, but Teixeira wins via decision. First time he makes it out of the first round in his MMA career. First time he goes to a decision in his career. And, the game plan was good. Get Tai Tuivasa down, which he did in the first round. Tuivasa survives. But then, both guys were just gassed. And by that third round, Tuivasa was trying to finish him, but just didn't have the gas tank to finish Teixeira. He was clinching a lot, Tuivasa was clinching a lot against the cage. And I think it was just to get his breath back, to get the gas tank to then go for another flurry of punches. So I think he felt safe just holding Teixeira against the cage to get the gas tank back. But he just couldn't get it done. If he had a better gas tank, he would have finished Teixeira. But it's always a fun fight with Tuivasa whether he wins or loses. He is now on a 6-fight losing streak. People don't realize Tuivasa could be one of the most consistent fighters of all time. Now let me explain. He's consistent. He's either winning consistently or he is losing consistently. So he starts his UFC career on a 3-fight win streak, and then he goes on a 3-fight losing streak. That's consistent. He's never win loss. He's always either consistently losing or winning. So after the losing streak, he goes on a 5-fight win streak. Beats Derek Lewis and then gets that main event in Paris against Cyril Gane. And then he went on and now he's been on a 5-fight losing streak up until the Teixeira fight, loses that. So now he's on a 6-fight losing streak. So he's, his record's consistent. It's either LLL or dub. Never win loss. So you got to give him credit. He's consistent. He's never up and down. So can we see him go on a 6-fight win streak? If history suggests how consistent he is with his record, I think he can go on a 6-fight win streak. Oh man, this is absolute dribble, of course. And maybe he ends up on a 7-fight losing streak and then goes on a 7-fight win streak. I don't know, but I think what we saw there, just again, clear skill deficiency in the ground game. I guess it is tough with heavyweights. They're just so heavy, not as agile on the ground. But Tai, first fight after being out almost a year and a half, you could definitely see the inactivity show. So if he can get back in there again and stay active, he might get a W. But Teixeira, young guy, he was gassed in there. He was wobbling around just how gassed he was. But Tuivasa just almost finished him. But yeah, fatigue makes a coward of us all, and we saw it there. And to kick off the main card, we had Quillan Sourkild do what we thought he would, finish Jamie Mullarkey. I think he was the biggest favourite on the card by a submission in the first round. Did a nice freaking judo, sort of a toss takedown. But that's 4-0 in the UFC for Sourkild. He's calling out for a top 15 lightweight because, I think, he's kind of the new era of lightweights coming around. He's only 26 or something, though. Still super young. Because you got Faraz Ziem, is ranked 15. Them two young bucks could go at it. Or just throw him straight to Beneil Dariush, rank 11. Beneil pretty washed now. Beneil's got a great ground game. So does Sourkild. It'd be good to test that out. So just give him the freaking 38-year-old Beneil Dariush. Get him catapulted into those rankings. And then, from there, the prelims. Justin Tuffer, started well. Dropped Alakina in the first round. And then eventually got submitted in the second round. Just the deficiency in the ground game for Tuffer and Tuivasa. That's what's really stopping them becoming that top pedigree fighter. Yeah, Billy Alakina, tough kid, took the shots well off a powerful tougher, and then eventually, yeah, just got him down and just easy rear naked choke. Cam Rouston finishes Cody Brundage, fun call out. Jacob Malkoon, Torres Finney. This was a tough watch. Malkoon gets the win, but he could have finished him it was either the first or second round. He just had Finney up against the cage, kind of had him really hurt and just held on to him. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like the heavier the weight class, the lower the fight IQ. Yeah, it was a tough watch because you want him to get that finish bonus, extra 25K. I think they might have had some injuries, but Finney had no answers for him. He could have just kept spamming. And this is when, the fight IQ comes in and you got to know the game. You got to know what the refs are looking for. Like BSD is super smart. He didn't knock out Dan Hooker. He just kept spamming Hooker with elbows and punches. And Herb Dean just had to step in. Like, if you're not fighting back and you're not getting out of that dominant position, they just have to stop it regardless if you're not knocked out. And Jacob Malkoon, man, because I wanted him to get the finish, get the extra 25K bonus, and just start spamming him, man. Just start spamming him. The ref will just have no choice but to stop it. You don't have to make him unconscious. So that's when, I'd like to hear their thoughts. Like, you got to know when the refs step in, you got to know the game on that sort of level of the optics of man, just make the ref make that decision to stop the fight because of the optics of you just spamming him with unanswered shots. But he gets the win anyway. Jonathan McAuliffe, Oban Elliott. Oban started really strong, then got caught. I believe he got a broken orbital bone. And then, got rear naked choke by Jonathan. So the Aussie gets his second win in the UFC. Controversial decision here. Khan Offley gets the majority decision over Yuzha. Yeah, that's, glad the Aussie won, but I don't know if I agree with that. Offley, competitive first round, won that, and then Yuzha just, beat the brakes out of him in round 2, and then round 3, yeah, pretty controversial there. Yeah, Yuzha, put an Instagram post out saying, lesson learnt, don't let the judges decide the fight. And that's 100%. But I think damage-wise, he was pretty hard done by because he was pacing up Offley. So home crowd advantage and home commission advantage, I think, for Offley there. So we'll take it. And then just some road to UFC stuff. But yeah, that's UFC 325 in the books, guys. Next week we move to of the first fight night of the year. First fight night at the Meta Apex of the year, Bautista vs Oliveira in a ranked bantamweight matchup, which will be an interesting fight. Amir Albalzi, Horiguchi as a co-main, Almeida vs Kuniev, and then from there on, yeah, typical Apex kind of a card. But yeah, Aussie, Volkanovski, and still, Lopes, again, he fractured both of his feet. He thought he might have broken them, but he fractured both of them. Go check his Instagram. They're just both ballooned up. Hope to see him in there sooner rather than later because I did draft him in my UFC team. So I was going for Volk in the fight, but if he lost, would have got more points for Lopes if he had won. But I hope to see Lopes in there within 6 months. But I think they should just do Lopes, Yair Rodriguez. A bit of beef there with those guys. You saw them at one of the press conferences barking at each other. But yeah, good pacing of the card because the first week Paramount, took their time a bit more, just figuring things out. But this time it was 40 minutes quicker, this card. It was just bang, bang, good pacing. And it was, another back-to-back pay-per-view events to start the year. And then, yeah, now we've got, with the schedule, we've got no pay-per-views this month. The next pay-per-view is the BMF belt. And first week of March, Holloway versus Oliveira. But, we got next week, then we got a week off, and then Strickland, Hernandez, and Moreno, Amabayev. And yeah, UFC London, still no main event. Volkanovski was in the post-fight speech was saying rumors of Evliov and Murphy as main event, but I don't know how that there's fights booked, but there's nothing on the UFC website. It just says TBD. No main event booked there. And so yeah, another card in the books, guys. Be sure to comment your thoughts about Volkanovski, Aldo GOAT discussion. But yeah, man, enjoy the rest of the week. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Catch you later.